Welcome back, Math Masters. You've completed the first part of your training. Now, continue your lesson with this next challenge. Complete it to earn the long division badge. We divided 1,378 flyers among 32 neighborhood blocks and got a quotient of 43 remainder 2. What does the remainder of 2 represent in this situation? What are some reasonable options for what the group could do with the remainder? Study well. The path to mastery begins now.
Welcome back, Math Masters. In Part 1, we focused on dividing using the long division algorithm and checking our work with multiplication. But today's challenge is a little different. You already know how to find the quotient, but now we're going one step further. When a division problem has a remainder, what does it actually mean in real life? That leftover number isn't just something we tack onto the end. It tells us something important about the situation. Have your guided notes ready. Training starts now. A student is making bracelets to sell at the craft market. They have 1,350 inches of string and want to make 72 bracelets that are all the same length. When we divide 1,350 by 72, the quotient is 18 with a remainder of 54. Each bracelet will have at least 18 inches of string, but we're not done yet. We still have that remainder of 54 to think about. There are some important questions we can answer to help us make sense of it. What does the remainder represent? The remainder means that after giving each bracelet 18 inches of string, there are 54 inches of string left over. Can the remainder be used as a fraction? Yes. Since string can be measured in smaller pieces, like a fraction of an inch, we can divide the leftover 54 inches among all 72 bracelets. That gives us 54 70-seconds, which simplifies to 3/4. So each bracelet would need 18 3/4 inches of string. Should we include the remainder, or can it be ignored? We should include it. If we ignore the 54 inches left over, we'd be wasting string that could still be used. Since string can be measured and divided into smaller pieces, it makes sense to represent the remainder as a fraction and use it to add extra length to each bracelet. Let's try another scenario. There are 1,054 markers to be shared equally among 47 students. How many markers will each student receive? The quotient is 22 remainder 20. So how many markers will each of the 47 students get? They'll each get 22, the whole number part of our quotient. Let's go through each question to decide what happens with the remainder. What does the remainder represent? Pause here to share your thoughts. The remainder tells us there are 20 markers left over after giving each student 22. Next, can the remainder be used as a fraction? Well, we can't cut the markers up to make 20 47ths of a marker, so a fraction doesn't make sense, and we need to consider other options. Should we include the remainder, or can the remainder be ignored? Pause again to record your thinking in your guided notes. Either option works. It depends on whether it's acceptable for some of the students to receive one more marker than the others. If it's okay to give a few students an extra marker, we could distribute the remaining 20. But if fairness means every student gets the same number, we'd stick with 22 and set the extras aside for the teacher to use. Here's another scenario for us to consider. A theater is seating 2,365 guests, and each row holds 64 people. How many rows are needed for everyone to have a seat? After dividing, we get a quotient of 36 with a remainder of 61. Let's go through our 3 questions again. What does the remainder represent? Can the remainder be used as a fraction? And should we include the remainder or can we ignore it? Pause the video here to record your answers for each question. We'll go over them together in a moment. First, the remainder means there are 61 guests who don't have seats yet after filling the first 36 rows. Does it make sense for the remainder to be used as a fraction? Yes, 61 out of 64 people would fit in another row, or 61/64ths of a full row. And finally, should we include the remainder or ignore it? In this case, the remainder definitely matters. 61 guests still need seats, so we can't ignore them. We'd need to round up to make sure everyone has a seat. 36 rows only hold part of the group, so 37 rows would be needed to seat all the guests. By adding one more row, all 2,365 guests can be seated comfortably. Ignoring the remainder would leave people standing, which wouldn't work in this scenario. Your challenge still awaits. Complete it, and the long division badge is yours. We divided 1,378 flyers among 32 neighborhood blocks and got a quotient of 43, remainder 2. What does the remainder of 2 represent in this situation? What are some reasonable options for what the group could do with the remainder? We can use our guiding questions to help us solve the challenge. Pause here to use everything you've learned and record your thinking in your guided notes. We know the remainder is 2, so after handing out 43 flyers to each of the 32 blocks, there are 2 flyers left over. What does the remainder represent? It represents the extra flyers that haven't yet been distributed. Can the remainder be shown as a fraction? Not really. Flyers can't be split up and still be useful, so dividing them isn't a practical option. Should we include the remainder, or can it be ignored? It shouldn't be ignored if the goal is to distribute all the flyers. So, what can the group do with the extra 2? Reasonable options might include giving the extras to the blocks that get the most foot traffic, posting them on a community bulletin board, or saving them in case any get damaged. So, what have we learned today? We learned that remainders can be included, represented as fractions, or even ignored. The key is to interpret the remainder based on the context and make a decision that makes the most sense for each situation. You've earned the long division badge, but your training isn't over just yet. Be sure to complete the practice questions and extension activities that go with this lesson to practice interpreting remainders. And remember, Math Masters, in math, as in training, progress comes with patience and practice. I'll see you next time! Hey, hey.